Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving deep into longevity science. We're talking about the real, evidence-based ways to live a longer and maybe even more importantly, a healthier life.
Just take a second and really picture that. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But what if I told you that scientists aren't just asking if we can live longer anymore? Now they're seriously investigating if we can slow down or maybe even reverse the aging process itself. This stuff is on the absolute cutting edge of biology, and believe me, it is moving fast.
Okay, so before we get into all the cool, futuristic tech, we have to understand the main problem that longevity science is trying to fix. And it's not just about tacking more years onto your life. It's about adding more life to those years.
Now look at this slide, because the gap it shows is everything. On average, people around the world live to be about 73. That's our lifespan. But our health span, the number of years we're actually healthy and active, is only 64. That difference is the whole ballgame.
9 years. Let that sink in. That means the average person spends almost an entire decade of their life struggling with disease, being frail, or depending on others. Closing this gap, well, that's not just a goal, it's the entire mission of modern longevity science.
So how do we even begin to tackle this? Well, the framework a lot of people are using is called biohacking. And I know, it sounds super intense, but really it's just about using whatever tools you have, from simple habits and a fitness tracker to really advanced medical science, to consciously upgrade your body's function and, you guessed it, your health span.
To figure out how to fix the problem, we first got to understand why it's happening in the first place. So let's take a quick, simple look at the biology that makes us get older. You could say we're about to meet the villains of our story.
Scientists have identified a bunch of these hallmarks of aging, but we can kind of boil it down to these 4 big issues. Over time, our DNA just collects errors. Our cells' little power plants get weaker, and we get this buildup of old, cranky, inflammatory zombie cells. It all really comes down to one thing. Our body's natural repair and cleanup crews, they just can't keep up with the mess anymore.
And this is where the whole story takes a super exciting turn. For basically the first time in human history, scientists are realizing these fundamental aging processes aren't set in stone. They're actually starting to prove that we can intervene, we can slow them down, and maybe, just maybe, we can even fix some of the damage that's already been done.
Okay, now for the fun part. Let's look at how scientists are trying to hack this whole process with some truly incredible, almost sci-fi level technologies. This is where all the hype and all the hope for a longer, healthier life really starts to get serious.
So, the whole point here is that we're targeting those hallmarks of aging directly. Just imagine a one-and-done gene edit that protects your heart for life, instead of taking a pill every day. Or these new experimental drugs called Senolytics that basically act like a cleanup crew for all those zombie cells. And then you've got things like NAD+ boosters, which are all about recharging our cellular batteries so our DNA can repair itself better. The potential here is, well, it's absolutely enormous.
This is the question on everyone's mind, right? With all this gene editing and cellular cleanup stuff, surely we can just blow past the old limits and, live to be 150?
Well, the honest-to-goodness scientific answer is probably not. At least, not yet. Most researchers agree that there seems to be a natural biological ceiling for us humans, somewhere in that 120 to 150-year range. To get past that, we'd need stuff like artificial organs and a complete genetic rewrite, and we are just not there.
So, if all the high-tech wizardry isn't going to make us immortal, what is the most powerful tool we actually have right now to stretch out our health span? Well, the answer might surprise you, because it's not something you're going to find in a futuristic lab.
This quote right here really nails it. While we're all dreaming about some miracle pill, the actual science keeps pointing back, again and again, to the basic, fundamental pillars of health that we've honestly known about for decades.
This chart says it all, really. Your genes, the DNA you were born with, they only account for about 20% of your health outcomes. A whopping 80% is determined by your lifestyle and the choices you make every day. That means you have way more control than you probably think. And what are those big choices? They're almost deceptively simple. Things like your cardiovascular fitness, eating actual whole food, getting enough quality sleep, and, this is a big one that people always forget, having strong social connections. Make no mistake, these are the most powerful longevity drugs on the entire planet.
But let's pull back for a second. Because as these technologies get better and we actually succeed at extending healthy life, it forces us to ask some really deep, really tough questions about the kind of society we want to live in.
This is the first and most obvious one, right?
If these treatments cost a fortune, do we end up creating a world with two kinds of people, the ones who live a normal life and a super long-lived elite?
And think about our society. What does a career even look like if you're planning to work until you're 100? When do you retire? Can our current systems even begin to handle a population where a huge chunk of people are over a century old?
And finally, there's the biggest question of all. On a planet that already has limited resources, what's the environmental impact of billions of us living decades and decades longer than ever before? These are some major challenges we need to start thinking about, like now.
So, after all that, what's the final verdict? Well, immortality isn't around the corner, but a revolution in healthier aging? Oh, that's not coming someday. It's already here. We have more power right now than any generation in history to live longer, healthier lives.
And that really brings us to the final, most important point. The future tech is fascinating for sure, but the real power is already in your hands. So we'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Are you going to sit around and wait for some magic bullet? Or are you going to start building your healthier future today? That's it for this time. Thanks for watching.